From the mind of the reigning, defending, undisputed best director in the world comes, finally, the MCU's celestial side explored to its fullest. This is my review of Eternals. We follow a team of ancient aliens known as the Eternals who have been living on Earth in secret for thousands of years. But when an unexpected tragedy forces them out of the shadows, they're forced to reunite against humanity's most ancient enemy, the Deviants. Now, before I properly start my review for Eternals, I want to know your thoughts on it. If you're excited, if you're a fan of them from the comics, if this is a new side of the MCU that you're excited to explore, let me know all of that, anything and everything down in the comments below. And if you like what you see here, make sure to click that subscribe button so you do not miss any future conversation about your favorite movies, TV, and of course anything MCU. So as you can see from the back there, I'm a huge fan of the Eternals. I kind of grew up reading on them. I kind of immersed myself on the Jack Kirby-ness of these stories. This was by far the project in the MCU that I was most excited for the past few years. This was my most anticipated film of this year, and even future projects of the MCU right now, I'm not as excited for them as I have been for the Eternals. And Eternals in every conceivable way is a very different movie for the MCU. This is heady sci-fi. This is thinking man's sci-fi. Not at the cost of any action. There's action there, there's MCU stuff, and we'll get to that. But this is a very mature story being told in a very mature way with interesting character dynamics and complex themes at hand, playing it all and balancing it all throughout this epic story that spans literally thousands of years and humanity's history. And Chloe Zhao does a great job of balancing all of this. It is really an impressive achievement when you watch the film and see everything that she has to balance and juggle and give time to, and she does that very, very well. Because we got a big, gigantic story in terms of scope. We got all these complex themes, and we got all these characters. 10 Eternals at play, from Cersei to Icarus to Athena to Druig to Phastos to Gilgamesh, and everyone is fantastic. And everyone really is a standout. I think everyone is truly fantastic in this film. Richard Madden, who plays my favorite Eternal, Icarus, he has a lot to play with here. There's a ton of interesting conflict when it comes to this character that emotionally he has to play with, and I was not expecting it. I was not expecting at least the film to tackle all these sides of the conflict that he has to go with throughout this film and that he struggles with. And Gemma is stellar as Cersei. This is an ensemble film, absolutely, with Selma, Hayek, Angelina, Jolie, Don Lee from Train to Busan, Barry Keoghan and Kumail Nanjiani, and so many big personalities, but Cersei is our lead, 1000%, and Gemma carries this film beautifully, because what Eternals is actually doing is exposing the human condition through these beings that are not human, but have grown themselves in this world throughout history, learning with, teaching, learning from humans what humanity actually is. And I love how that theme is explored throughout this film, how we see humanity really rubbing off on these celestial beings that are basically gods. With such rich characters, I connected a lot to the story, where we have interesting family dynamics at hand, where we have a broken family kind of little by little coming together as we see past mistakes that they made upon one another. And on a grand scale, we got a story about fate. And what is fate? And can we fight against fate? And are we destined to do something no matter what? Those different levels that the film plays with just connect with me tremendously. And the film does not shy away from exploring the complexities of that on a human level, on an emotional level, and how it affects these different beings, how it affects their point of view. We really see a family dynamic growing throughout the film on their part, and at one point they separate, and this is not a spoiler, and in present day, when they are trying to reunite each other because of certain events of the film that I won't spoil, the dynamics are very different and they are very interesting to see unfold. How damaged are they by past decisions that someone else in the group made that affected them? And I find that so rich and compelling. And honestly, the main relationship in this film is Icarus and Cersei, I will say, but the best relationship in this film is Gilgamesh and Athena. These two are amazing together, and I was so emotionally invested in them as a duo throughout this film. Don Lee and Angelina Jolie are stellar together. But besides all that emotion and all that heady sci-fi-ness that the film has, it also has all the fantastic MCU action that we want. There's a ton of action here, very well captured, I might add. Very different than what we've seen from the MCU, because it feels very sudden. It feels very in the moment all of a sudden. There are moments where it's kind of handheld and you're just catching yourself in the moment. And that might not work for some people, rightfully so, and I understand. To me, it really captured how different these beings are, how different their power sets are, how the film captures their powers visually is extremely original, I thought. On the visual scope in general, the cinematography, the lighting, the use of color, this is the most beautiful MCU film to date. I will say that. It's not my favorite MCU film, but it's by far their most beautiful looking film. And it has a ton of references to the MCU, past and present and future, that we will talk about for sure in a spoiler video to come. The film balances what we expect and love to have in our MCU movies and adds new interesting complexities, a grandiose new side of the MCU. All that being said, as stated in the beginning, Chloe Zhao has to balance a lot of stuff in this film, and the film takes a little bit to find its groove. There's a lot of story being implemented here that literally spans thousands of years. There's literally 10 characters to give time to and let them shine, and so the film in the first act is a little bit shaky in letting all of this sit in. It feels like they're throwing a lot into you, and they have to. I think this film needed a little bit more time to breathe. I think this story is fantastic. I just think they could have told it better if we had more time. Another issue I had was that this film constantly jumped back and forth in time, which I enjoyed seeing those moments and developing these characters and relationships throughout time. But because just in the present alone, these characters are going from place to place, jumping back and forth, it can feel like the film is just jumping too much, more than it actually is, because it's jumping in terms of location, but it's jumping in terms of time frame as well. So it just feels too much, and it's a bit of a pacing killer. These are all issues that affect the story being told, and whereas the story is great, it's just not allowed to be told in the most perfect way possible, and that takes a bit away from the story, because what works tremendously well, and then I just wish you could have had more of that in every regard. I think more characters should have been allowed to breathe. I think more moments should have been allowed to breathe, where certain characters go through these dramatic beats that are so effective, but then we just quickly move on to something else, and we're not allowed to really absorb it and sit there with these characters, seeing it, how it affects them. But what I will say, even with these issues for Eternals, is that the longer it goes, the better it gets. As soon as it finds its stride, as the second act kicks in, this film just knows exactly what it is, and it does what it has to do better and better by each scene. Eternals feels like the true start of Marvel's Phase 4, exploring a brand new side of the universe that we've never seen before, with rich, complex characters and tremendously interesting themes that explore humanity, fate, and family dynamics that I was so compelled by. For better or worse, this film works so differently in every regard, it might as well be called a game changer. I'm giving Eternals an A-. And those are my thoughts on Eternals. Thank you so much for watching. I've been so excited to talk about this, and I cannot wait to talk about it with you in the comments below, so start the conversation down there. If you're excited, if you've seen it, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed what you saw here, make sure to click the subscribe button so you do not miss any future conversations about your favorite movies and TV. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for more reviews and for that Eternal spoiler video, and I'll see you on those. So until then, love each other and love the movies.